course, he is the managing editor, co-owner, D1Baseball.com, also D1Softball.com. Kendall, always appreciate you, and I know Round Rock's not too far from where you live, so this one was an easy decision for you. Plus, you get maybe one of the biggest games of the weekend in college baseball, which is Arkansas versus Stanford. I think should be a great weekend for you.
Well, other than the weather, it will be a great weekend. It's just something you kind of have to deal with in the middle of February in Texas. That can happen. But, I think when you look at this tournament overall, it's four intriguing teams. Obviously, Indiana had a tough weekend out of Clemson. It looks like Clemson may be a little bit better than maybe we expected coming into the season. But, Louisiana took 2 or 3 from the top 25, previously a top 25 UC Irvine club at home over the weekend. Stanford, lost its series opener or season opener to, Fullerton, but they bounced back in impressive fashion to win that series. And, of course, you have the Hogs who, people got a little antsy on Friday, but they bounced back with good pitching in games 2 and 3 to take 2 out of 3 from Illinois State. So, to me, it's 2 really good teams, 1 solid team. And I think if you look at the 4th in Indiana, it's a team with a lot of upside. I think they're a lot better than what they showed at Clemson.
So you mentioned about Arkansas, and I think people were obviously taken aback by losing the home opener. It'd be the first season-opening loss since the mid-1990s and the first time Arkansas had lost the first game of the season at home since the early 1980s. But you're right, they did bounce back-to-back victories. We had a caller earlier in the show ask about when I thought that the bats would heat up. And, I mean, it could happen at any time. I'm not too nervous when I look at how this lineup is constructed and what they've done previously. Chris Lanzilli or Michael Turner and guys that have had success with other programs. And then you see like a Caden Wallace, who was great as a freshman. Robert Moore is going to hit, and Peyton Stovall is going to hit. This lineup, I think, is one of the most fearsome in the SEC, and you just kind of expect that from this Arkansas program now. You look 10 years ago, it was a program that kind of rested on pitching and defense. This is now a program that just slugs the ball better than most every other program.
No, you're right. I mean, I think when you look at this offense overall, I don't think there's any doubt that this team's going to hit and hit at a very high level. I think you look at, guys like, Michael Turner, Caden Wallace. I mean, let's get real here. Like, there's no way he's going to hit 250 the whole year. You look at Peyton Stovall, a guy that's supremely talented. And, Peyton Stovall is just another reminder, guys, that, making the transition from high school baseball to college baseball can sometimes be a process. And I think he kind of learned that over the weekend. I expect him to kind of, come into this weekend a little bit more dialed in, kind of knows how teams are going to approach him a little bit. So, honestly, for a guy like Stovall, who, all of us talking heads have been, writing about how great he's going to be, honestly, that might be the perfect weekend for him just to kind of, hone things in a little bit, not look at the clippings. Not to say he is, but, it'd be easy for a young player like that to see people expect you to be great immediately and think, oh, you know what, I am great. And so that might have been actually good for him. But you're right. You look at, Chris Lanzilli and the power production that he's had in the past. I think Jalen Battles is going to continue to hit. And, of course, you got Bob Moore and Brady Slavin. So I'm not remotely worried about Arkansas offensively, not even close.
So, I mean, out of all the games that I'm bummed that I won't be there to be a part of is the Arkansas-Stanford game, because these are two of the brand names in the sport. And I didn't realize that Stanford hadn't been to Omaha in, 13 years before Esker took them there last season, which was a bit of a surprise, certainly the way they got there by blowing out Texas Tech in a couple of games in Lubbock. But is it also safe to say that Stanford is kind of a little bit like Arkansas in that this year you trust, and I think the team's going to pitch well. It's just we haven't seen it on the mound much because you lost your 6 big innings eaters from last season. Is it safe to say that Stanford's kind of in the same category? You know they're going to hit. You're just not quite sure about the pitching just yet?
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, I think when you look at Stanford overall, I think if you look at their pitching staff, I feel really good about, guys like Quinn Matthews. But, Quinn Matthews got out to a little bit of a rough start last week, gave up 3 runs in 4 innings. I think, Alex Williams is a guy that I think, certainly has a lot of experience, has a track record. He did have a good start last week. But, you look at his team offensively, and it's funny you mentioned that because it is very similar to Arkansas. You look at Cody Huff, hit 154 over the weekend for the Cardinals. Tommy Troy, Drew Bowser. Drew Bowser was a freshman All-American. Both of those guys hit, 133 or lower. Drew Bowser hit, 077 last weekend. So, they are very similar teams in the sense that, they're going to be very offensive. And then, pitching-wise, I think things are just going to kind of come together as the season progresses.
Well, as Arkansas hopes their bats get going this week in Round Rock, one team in college baseball that doesn't have to worry about that has been Wake Forest, who through 4 games have already hit 15 bombs. I mean, that's 15 more that's 15 home runs compared to Arkansas's 11 runs. I mean, that's a lot of power in just 4 games into the season. Do you see Wake being a legitimate College World Series contender, or is it just kind of a hot start for the Demon Deacons?
Yeah, that's a team that always seems to have a lot of power, whether it's Lanzilli or, if you remember 3 or 4 years ago, Will Craig, he was a National Player of the Year at Wake Forest. They always hit with a lot of power. That's kind of their MO is we're going to have some big boppers in that lineup, and we're going to try to beat people with power. And so, the biggest question for me, and they did get a nice win over VCU over the weekend, but we'll see if they have staying power. I mean, this is a team that, we as a staff, we've believed in every single year, and it's almost like they kind of let us down. So I kind of want to see it to believe it, but they're certainly off to a really good start.
And for college for college baseball as a whole, I've thrown this out there before, and it's kind of gotten shot down depending on who I've talked to it about. But with you running D1 baseball and obviously living, breathing college baseball, with the turmoil in Major League Baseball right now, where we're talking about if a deal's not done by Monday, there's going to be games canceled and we're not going to make them up, how big of a position is college baseball in to gain popularity among the baseball community without Major League Baseball?
Yeah, I just think when you look at the whole situation, I mean, long term, you don't want to see a lockout in any level of baseball because essentially it ends up hurting the whole game, from the top down. It trickles down. It permeates to other levels. But, short term, it certainly helps college baseball. I mean, as this thing kind of drags on and drags on, you're going to see networks like ESPN. For instance, they put, the college softball, the St. Pete Invitational, they put it on, national on ESPN Sunday night last week. And so, I kind of feel like you're going to see that potentially happen with college baseball. And anytime, college baseball can take center stage with no pro ball, that's a win for college baseball. So, for me, selfishly, I like it short term, but I don't think it's a long-term solution because I think ultimately it does end up hurting college baseball if, let's say they lock out for half the season, or I don't think this is going to happen, but heaven forbid they lock out for the entire season.
I wish you wouldn't have said that, but now I'm beginning to think that it might actually happen.
I am too.
Really, how far these?
I don't think so. I have a feeling it's one of those things where they're a little bit closer behind the scenes than they're kind of letting out to be. But maybe I'm wrong.
I hope so.
It's happened before.
Hey, you're going to get eyes on Hagen Smith on Saturday, Kendall, and Dave just announced a few moments ago that they're going to have the same rotation from the previous weekend.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw him when he was in high school. I'm sure you've seen video of him, but from the few times that I've seen Hagen Smith pitch in the fall series and then his debut, you know it the moment the ball comes out of his hand. The kid filled up the strike zone like it was nobody's business. 15 first pitch strikes against the first 15 hitters. He's got a feel for what he's doing, and man, he's got a big league arm.
No, he does. I mean, and that's why we had him as one of our top freshmen in the country coming this season. He's a guy that certainly was ultra accomplished at the high school level. He's got great stuff, but the biggest thing for him is just his pitchability. It's very seldom that you see, a first-year freshman like that who has that good of command of the zone. Typically, you look at freshmen, and they'll go 2 or 3 innings where you're like, wow, this is incredible. And then they'll have like a random inning where they kind of just fall out a little bit and they kind of tweak it and they're back to normal. But he's just a guy, like, at least through one start, like he was 100% dialed in. So we'll see if that continues. But man, that certainly helps Matt Hobbs sleep at night, and that really is kind of a lifesaver for the Hogs right now. Obviously, Connor Nolan threw really well. I thought in the opener, this is a guy that has a lot of pressure kind of put on him. But the key to this whole staff is really, Hagen, in the sense that without Peyton, he's got big-time stuff, and he's going to have to produce like that all year long. I'm not going to say he's going to throw that many first-pitch strikes every week, but, if he can have an ERA under 3, I think Arkansas is in business.
So I'm also bummed I don't get to go to the Dell Diamond. I used to go to that stadium when they were in the Texas League for 2001 through 2004, and then they expanded it, put up a home run porch, and, I mean, it's turned into much more than just a minor league baseball park. What does the Dell Diamond look now, and does it have a reputation as a pitcher's or a hitter's ballpark? Because when you're playing in a professional ballpark, chances are those fields are just a little bit bigger than what you usually play on in college ball.
Yeah, I mean, I would think it's going to play very big or very big this weekend. I think when you look at the dimensions, you are right. It's a little bigger. The wind's going to be blowing straight from the northwest to home plate. So, I mean, you may be able to kind of yank some balls pull side, from the left side to right field. But, yeah, I mean, if you're planning on hitting a home run this weekend in left field, good luck.
Kendall, we're obviously, very, very early into the season, only week number 2, so basically 1 weekend down, 52 or 53 games left to go. But out of the first weekend, has there been anybody that surprised you in the, let's just stick with the SEC, that you could see being a possible sleeper team this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, I think just how good Tennessee looked opening weekend was really impressive. I think I expected Tennessee to be good this year, but I think this looks like a team that could be great. Offensively, they were obviously dialed in over the weekend. I think pitching-wise, Chase Burns, a talented freshman, we talk so much about freshmen, but, he's a guy that's up to, 98, 99 with his fastball, and he put together a really nice start in their series opener. So without Blade Tidwell, we'll see if he can kind of come back for conference play. But without their ace, a little bit like Arkansas with Hagan, without their ace, Chase Burns did really well. So, I mean, they're not going to cover up the ball. I think they outscored Georgia Southern 33-3 over the weekend, and that'll get it done.
Arkansas doesn't play Tennessee this year, but everybody wants them to be rivals.
That's too bad, right?
Yeah, everybody wants them to be rivals. I say you can't be rivals if you don't play them every year. Did I see this Tennessee pitcher? I watched this video, Ben Joyce, sitting at 101 to 103. That was what he was sitting at?
Supposedly that's legit, too. So I knew he had a big arm. I know he's been up to 98, 99 before, but I did not know that he had been up to 102, 103. So, I mean, that's a new development, but it sounds like it's legit. I had no reason to believe it's not. I was talking to a couple of scouts, and they said it was legit. So, yeah, that's pretty crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
That's ridiculous. I just couldn't figure that the human body could actually sustain that on a week-by-week basis and still stay in one piece.
Is it really an all-speed pitch when it's coming in at 97?
No, of course not.
That's a crazy thing.
It's almost kind of scary. Like, you're almost just kind of waiting for a blowout. I mean, knock on wood, that doesn't happen, but that's just kind of what you're thinking when a guy's throwing that hard.
Hey, Kendall, we'll leave it there. Hope you can make it to Fayetteville sometime and get a look at this new Hunt Center. I've been through it a couple times. It is.
Oh, I'd love to.
It's mind-blowing. Really mind-blowing. I'm sure they'd love to show it off to you, too.
Yeah, I think it's the Arkansas series that's in Fayetteville, or Mississippi State series that's in Fayetteville this year.
Yep, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, I think that's the weekend. I think I'm planning on coming up there that weekend.
Yeah, you can hear the wheels turning in Kendall's head there.
I'll go through
Football
it.
might be over this season, but basketball is in full steam for both pros and college hoops. For all the latest odds, totals, player performance props, to where the next fired coach is going to land, BetOnline is the #1 spot for all your sports betting needs. Head over to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Use our promo code BELIEVE to get started. That's promo code BLEAV. And it's not just basketball. BetOnline is your source for hockey, boxing, and UFC odds, right to the Olympic coverage, is the best in the business. From sports right down to your favorite Vegas casino games, BetOnline is your #1 online wagering destination. BetOnline, the fastest and easiest way to wager on all your favorite sports and play your favorite games. BetOnline, where the game starts.